Hana Janečková, the curator of the Czech Pavilion, as part as HYPER Annotation 3.0 triple N% of the New Center public program of the Venice Biennale. Mm-hmm. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Nice.
If
Hi.
you can please tell us how the exhibition connects to the main theme of the Biennale, foreigners everywhere.
So this project tells the story of the giraffe Lenka, who was captured in Kenya in 1954, and she was transported to Czechoslovakia as the first Czechoslovak giraffe in Czech zoos. The giraffe lived only 2 years, then she died of pneumonia. Then her body was donated to National Museum, where she was 44 years museum exhibit. And we were very interested in this sort of like even like the foreignness of the body, of her sort of like what does she stand for as a like nation building artifact? What does it mean for like this sort of free animal that becomes sort of like a national symbol in the National Museum? And what happens to these like artifacts that sort of after the service, they are removed from the exhibit and they are sort of living this endless life in the archives? Because her body is scientifically valuable, as her pelt is because she was captured actually in the wild. So she's kind of like protected against being completely destroyed or buried. So there is like ongoing theme of foreignness, alienation that is kind of feed into this idea of like national identity. What does it mean to belong? What does it mean? How do we build this relationship of belonging in, especially when it comes to relating to the national, to the natural world, you know? So you have this like, you know, she's kind of like, she was the main sort of like symbol exhibit of the most important Czech museum. Also, the story goes when she was going through like autopsy and when they were preparing the exhibit, there's an urban legend that her body was released into public sewage, and the whole upper part of the most important historical part of Prague had to be closed for 2 days because of the smell. And we are very like, we found this metaphor incredibly powerful, because the idea of the body leaving and turning into some sort of bodies of water and entering ecosystems and waters, and you know, this is actually kind of like bringing this idea of foreigners everywhere, and you know, like this body that is evaporating and we can breathe it, and it's a part of the wider planetary metabolism. So we found this like you know, like we didn't even plan it, but we feel like that this metaphor of the giraffe's body escaping into public sewage is kind of so beautiful that I'm like, when I found out that the theme was foreigners everywhere, it kind of like really fit into the framework. However, we didn't know about the theme or, you know, the framing before we kind of applied for the project. So, yeah.
Okay, and how did you come about to start to work about this this story of the giraffe?
Lenka.
Like
so Lenka,
famous?
Yeah, why we like, so how did we come? So the artist, this is very important that Eva sort of, I did a very big publication project with Eva that concerned Anthropocene and animals. And Eva sort of works with her exhibition with topics like, she works with storytelling, and she did a huge exhibition and she asked people to contribute to like to the exhibition in the form. Talked to people who lived at the time when Lenka was exhibited. We went through National Film Archive in Prague to trace any sort of remnants of the story. And from that kind of collection, we started to build this like narrative, what happened to Lenka, but also general like mapping of the histories of animal acquisition from the countries of Global South. So that's very important. It's like, what was the politics of and stories of animal acquisition from the countries of Global South? Because this is something that is not researched and looked at in the Czech history. We sort of, a lot of Czech public denies any connection to colonialism. And for us, it was very important to kind of start to open this idea of natural extraction as a part of Western colonial project, and our sort of complicity with it as a sort of Czech nation or Czechoslovakia as a former sort of state that Lenka kind of was imported to.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And can you tell us more about the collaboration with the audio work that you did, and also performances that are going to take place here in the Giardini?
So I think this is a question that Eva usually answers, because this like retelling of the story. She kind of thinks the way like Eva is very interested in radical pedagogy. That's why they're gesturing towards decolonial futures, because many of the workshops and pedagogical practices that are part of the project have been inspired by gesturing toward decolonial futures, which are in Canadian-based collective or international collective, radical pedagogical collective. And we wanted to open this collaborative framework to as many kind of ideas of belonging or like nationhood, and especially that's why we selected Himali Singh Soin and David Tapesar to compose the overall sound. So what you hear in the space is an overall sound made by them. And what you hear in the tunnel is this sort of outcome of many kind of like 20, 30 workshops that Eva did with children and older people. She went to like retirement homes and talked to like people who remembered Lenka, and she asked them to retell the story differently. Like what could have been different, how we could imagine a relationship to nature that would be less extractive, more open, how children and older people would approach the story, what could have happened differently. So the sound is actually a result of collection of materials from these sort of processes.
Okay, thank you. And how does this exhibition relate to previous exhibitions of the Czech Republic in Venice, in the Biennale? It's also the first time after a lot of years that the building was closed. So did you have some connection to the history of the building and Czech in the pavilions in the Biennale?
So I think this is because like the last presentation was in 2019, and it was a very established Czech sculptor. So obviously after 5 years we kind of entered in an open call, and we were selected from 20 applicants by international jury. So but for us, I wouldn't say that we were like making links directly to like the history of the previous people exhibiting, but for us, for example, this audio that you can hear, the overall audio, has sort of this remnants of national anthems of all the places where Giraffe sort of traveled through. So it was Kenya, EU, Germany, Czechoslovakia, etc. So the subtle noise that you hear there is, sorry, so this nation building aspect is extremely important for our project. It is important for us that it should be presented not only to international public here at the Biennale, but also to the Czech public, and the building itself plays a huge part, especially because of this Lenka being the symbol of nation building, and the values we sort of stand for as science, progress, rationality, etc. So we try to kind of reverse it, offer different ways of thinking, bring storytelling, oral histories, poems, sounds, touch. You can see haptic model. We have like accessibility inbuilt in the exhibition. That was really important. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
And last small question.
Oh, okay.
What are you most excited about seeing in the Biennale in these days? Like other pavilions or exhibitions?
Other pavilions and exhibitions. I had so little time to go through things, so you're asking me too early. From what I've seen, obviously the Dutch pavilion is fantastic, and I've seen Egyptian, but I don't want to, obviously our neighbors, also Germany is incredibly impressive, but I haven't seen Arsenale, or I just think that it's great that if Biennale is in that position that we can still sort of think about what art can do and should not do, and maybe even like, you know, express support for Palestine, express support for Gaza, you know, that was something that happened yesterday. And I was really excited about it, that people came here and they actually expressed solidarity with Palestine. And it's great that it can kind of actually happen here. So, yeah,
Okay.
thank you.